It started on a quiet Saturday afternoon. My dad and I were sitting in the living room, the sun streaming through the windows, the sound of the television humming in the background. He had that mischievous glint in his eyes, the one that usually meant trouble. "But you can't survive a full weekend as my princess," he said suddenly, smirking. I laughed, thinking he was joking. "Dad, what are you talking about?" "I'm serious," he replied, folding his arms. "If you take the bet, I'll give you $100. But you have to follow all the rules. Clothes, makeup, the works. Full princess experience." $100? That was tempting. But the moment I said, "Fine, I'll do it," I had no idea I was stepping into something that would completely take over my life. The first change hit immediately. He handed me a box, delicate, pink, adorned with ribbons. Inside were skirts, blouses, dresses, stockings, and shoes that looked more suited for a fashion magazine than my ordinary wardrobe. My stomach twisted as I picked them up. The feel of silk, satin, and lace against my fingers was strange, almost electric. "Now, get dressed," he said, grinning. "The bet starts now." I hesitated. My hands shook as I slipped into the first outfit, a pale pink blouse that hugged my chest, a matching skirt that fell softly around my thighs, and stockings that made my legs feel different. My dad watched, eyes twinkling, as if he could see every thought in my head. When I finally looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. My features seemed softer, my hair falling in perfect waves around my shoulders. My chest, fuller, curves forming where none had been. I blinked, touching my face, my hair, my body. "Wow," I whispered. I look like a girl." "Exactly," Dad said, laughing. "Now, remember the rules. Every day, full princess. Makeup, outfits, manners, the whole experience." Panic surged. My heart raced. My voice cracked when I tried to speak, lighter, higher than usual. I can't do this." But he was relentless. "Bet's a bet. You said yes." The first day was hell. Going out in public, even just to the grocery store, was terrifying. People stared. Whispers followed me like shadows. I could feel the weight of every gaze, every comment that was left unspoken. My body felt alien. Every step made my chest bounce, my hips sway, and my mind spiral. "Smile, dear," my dad coached, adjusting my hair. "Posture. Grace. You're my princess now." I wanted to hide, to run, to cower into myself. But every mirror, every reflection, reminded me of the impossible truth. I was no longer the person I had been. Even at home, the transformation was overwhelming. Clothes brushed against me differently. The weight of heels on my feet made every movement deliberate, calculated. I practiced walking, sitting, even gesturing in front of the mirror. Each motion was strange, yet somehow exhilarating. At night, in the privacy of my room, curiosity overtook fear. I tried different outfits, experimenting with skirts, dresses, and blouses. Makeup became my secret playground, soft blush, eyeliner, mascara, and gloss that made my lips shine. I practiced my voice, whispering phrases, reading passages, giggling at the high, melodic tone I could produce. Each small victory brought a thrill I hadn't expected. I twirled in front of the mirror, hair flowing over my shoulders, skirt swishing around my thighs. Panic gave way to excitement. Fear turned into fascination. The princess my dad had forced me to be was slowly becoming me. The weekend outings were another kind of challenge. We went to brunch, the mall, even a casual stroll in the park. Each trip was terrifying, every glance felt like a test. People stared openly. Children whispered. Adults smirked. And yet, each compliment, each approving look, made my confidence grow. I learned to walk with poise, to tilt my head just so, to hold my shoulders gracefully. The sound of my high, soft voice began to feel natural. Strangers complimented my outfit. The barista called me Miss without hesitation. With each step, I began to accept this new identity, to explore it, to even enjoy it. Social media became a secret stage. I posted selfies, videos of my outfits, small snippets of my princess life. Comments were supportive, curious, and playful. For the first time, I felt visible, not just as someone playing a role, but as someone discovering a part of myself I had never known. But fear and embarrassment never fully disappeared. My friends noticed the change. "Wait, is that really you?" they asked, glancing nervously. I stumbled over my words, my voice higher and lighter than before, and I could see the confusion in their eyes. Some were supportive, some were hesitant, some didn't understand. Every interaction was a mix of terror and thrill, anxiety and excitement. Even at home, practicing in front of mirrors became a mix of discipline and discovery. I learned to apply makeup precisely, to style my hair perfectly, to move and speak with elegance. Every session left me exhausted, but also buzzing with a strange satisfaction. I was learning, evolving, becoming someone new. The real test came at the weekend party. My dad insisted I attend a casual gathering with his friends. Panic gripped me as we walked in. Everyone stared. Whispers rippled across the room. My heart raced, sweat prickling at my temples. I wanted to disappear, to hide in a corner, to retreat back to safety. And then, a compliment. Genuine, warm. "You look amazing," someone said. My chest tightened, not from fear this time, but from a thrill I couldn't deny. My posture straightened. My head lifted. The panic melted slightly, replaced by something unfamiliar, confidence. I realized then that I could exist in this form. I could be seen. I could be admired. I could even embrace it. Over the next few weeks, the transformation deepened, not just in appearance, but inside. I experimented with clothing, hairstyles, accessories, and makeup. I explored social interactions in this new form, learning to navigate conversations, glances, flirtation, and attention. Each day, I discovered something about myself: courage, grace, authenticity. The princess my dad had created was no longer a costume. It was a lens through which I saw my potential, my freedom, my strength. Even romantic curiosity crept in. The thrill of being noticed, the subtle power in confidence, the warmth of attention, it was intoxicating. I found joy in small victories, walking confidently, holding conversations smoothly, laughing without fear. The climax came when the bet was revealed publicly. My dad's friends found out. Laughter, teasing, questions, all eyes on me. My stomach churned. I could run, hide, pretend to be someone else, but something inside me had shifted. I stepped forward, head high, voice melodic but firm. I embraced every glance, every word, every whisper. The applause and smiles I received weren't just for my dad's bet, they were for me, for the person I had discovered. The princess, the new me, had emerged fully, boldly, beautifully. From that moment on, I embraced this identity entirely. I explored fashion freely, experimented with hairstyles and makeup, navigated social spaces confidently, and even dabbled in romantic interactions with newfound poise. The bet, once terrifying, had become a catalyst for transformation. I had discovered courage, authenticity, and joy in ways I never imagined. The princess wasn't just a role, it was a reflection of strength, freedom, and self-expression. I learned that fear is temporary, courage is cultivated, and identity can be discovered in the most unexpected ways. Looking back now, I understand the lesson my dad never intended to teach. Life can shift in an instant. Fear is fleeting. Courage is discovered in stepping into the unknown. And sometimes, what begins as a bet, a prank, or a challenge can uncover the most profound truths about yourself. If you're watching this, wondering whether to explore a new side of yourself, to embrace change, to take risks, do it. Discover, stumble, experiment, and rise. You might find, as I did, that the version of yourself waiting to emerge is far stronger, braver, and more radiant than you ever imagined. Because sometimes, all it takes is one bet to turn your world upside down, and reveal the princess inside. Even though I had agreed to it as a joke, seeing myself in the mirror was shocking. My dad had picked outfits that hugged my chest, flared over my hips, and made my legs look impossibly long. The stockings were tight, the shoes high, and every fabric brushed against my body differently than anything I had ever worn. I touched my face, my hair, the curves of my new silhouette, and felt a shiver run down my spine. "Dad, I look like a girl," I whispered, my voice higher than I ever expected. He just laughed, clapping me on the shoulder. "Exactly. That's the point. Now, own it." Owning it? I didn't even know how to breathe without feeling awkward. Going out in public was terrifying. Even the walk to the corner store felt like a runway in front of 1,000 eyes. People stared, some curious, some amused, some confused. Children whispered to their parents. Adults glanced twice. Every step made my chest bounce, my hips sway, my heart pound. My posture felt wrong, my voice too high, my movements clumsy. Smile, sweetie. Grace, Dad coached, adjusting my hair. You're my princess now. Remember that. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to sink into the ground and never be seen again. But every reflective surface, mirrors, windows, car panels, reminded me that hiding wasn't an option. Even at home, things were strange. Clothes that had once felt neutral now felt electric against my skin. My reflection seemed alive, mocking and enchanting at the same time. Every glance in the mirror left me breathless, self-conscious, and a little fascinated. At night, in the privacy of my room, curiosity began to creep in. I tried different combinations of skirts, blouses, and dresses. Soft fabrics slipped over my body in ways that were both alien and thrilling. Makeup became a secret playground. Blush, eyeliner, mascara, lip gloss, each stroke of color transformed me, and I couldn't help but stare at my reflection in awe. My voice practice became almost obsessive. I whispered, read aloud, experimented with tone and pitch, giggling at the delicate sounds I could make. Each successful attempt brought a thrill I hadn't expected. I was learning, slowly, carefully, how to move, speak, and look like the princess my dad had envisioned. And strangely, I started enjoying it. Fear and embarrassment mingled with fascination and excitement. My hands trembled as I twirled in front of the mirror, feeling the skirt swirl around my thighs, the hair falling perfectly over my shoulders. I was discovering a side of myself I had never dared explore. Weekends became tests of courage. Dad insisted on taking me shopping, to brunch, to casual outings in the neighborhood. Every step outside was terrifying. People stared openly, whispered, and glanced in my direction. But each compliment, each approving smile, built my confidence. I learned to walk with poise, tilt my head, hold my shoulders gracefully. The high-pitched voice that had once embarrassed me started to feel natural. Strangers complimented my outfits. The barista at the cafe called me Miss without hesitation. Slowly, I began to accept this new identity, to explore it, to even enjoy it. Social media became a secret stage. I posted selfies, snippets of outfits, videos of little movements. The comments were supportive, curious, playful. And with each reaction, I felt less like I was performing and more like I was discovering an authentic part of myself. Friends were another challenge. When I met my best friend, the shock was evident. "Wait, that's really you?" they asked, glancing nervously at me. My voice cracked as I spoke, higher and lighter than before, and I saw confusion cross their face. Some were supportive, some hesitant, some didn't understand. Every interaction was a tightrope of fear and exhilaration. Even at home, I practiced endlessly in front of mirrors. I styled my hair, applied makeup, adjusted clothes. Each session left me exhausted, but exhilarated. I was learning. I was evolving. I was becoming someone new, someone alive, vibrant, and undeniably feminine. The chaos, or bet, really, was still looming in my mind. I whispered to myself late at night, "Is this really me? Or just a costume?" And in the reflection, I saw someone softer, confident, daring, playful. Someone I had never allowed myself to be before. The princess wasn't just a role anymore. She was a part of me. By the time the second weekend rolled around, I had started to get used to the basics: skirts, stockings, blouses, heels. But being out in public was still terrifying. Dad had decided it was time for a full princess experience. Brunch at a busy cafe, a trip to the mall, and a walk through the park. I stared at myself in the mirror before we left, my heart hammering. My reflection was almost unrecognizable: soft curves, long hair cascading over my shoulders, delicate makeup that made my eyes pop. I adjusted my skirt nervously and tugged at the hem of my blouse. My dad watched me with a smug smile, like a coach proud of his trainee. "Relax," he said. "Confidence is half the battle. Walk tall, smile, and own it." The cafe was packed. Every table seemed to hold a pair of eyes glancing at me. I felt exposed, every step in heels precarious, every movement exaggerated. Dad guided me to a table, whispering tips. Sit like a lady, shoulders back, knees together. I obeyed, clumsy at first, every motion making me hyper-aware of my body. The waiter approached, and my voice, light, soft, melodic, spilled out naturally. Hi, table for two, please. I almost choked on my words. Hearing the sound of my own voice in public made me blush furiously. Yet something strange happened. Compliments. Friendly smiles. The waiter lingered a little longer, offering small talk. My dad winked at me across the table, a silent message. See? You can do this. After brunch, we hit the mall. This was a different kind of challenge. Crowds, mirrors, reflections, strangers watching. I clutched my dad's arm nervously as we passed store after store. People turned to stare, some whispering, some outright pointing. My stomach twisted. I wanted to disappear. But then a stranger smiled at me. Your outfit is gorgeous, she said genuinely. Something in her tone, warm, appreciative, made me stand a little taller. My dad nudged me playfully. See? You're turning heads for the right reasons. And I realized, he was right. I started experimenting more boldly. A playful tilt of my head, a confident sway in my walk, even a subtle flick of my hair over my shoulder. Small movements that made me feel more in control, more me. Each compliment, each glance, became a little reward, a little affirmation that I could step into this identity fully. The park was next, and it was here that I had my first real, personal interaction with a stranger in this persona. A guy jogging along the path slowed as he passed. He glanced at me, then back at his phone, and finally said, "Hey? I just wanted to say you look amazing." His tone was casual, but sincere. My cheeks heated, my heart raced, and I realized I was flustered, and I liked it. Dad noticed my reaction and laughed softly. Feeling it, here? I looked down, embarrassed, and nodded. But inside, a thrill surged. For the first time, I felt that my new self wasn't just a costume forced on me. It was a persona I could inhabit, one that drew attention, admiration, even desire. That evening, at home, I couldn't stop replaying the interactions. I practiced my walk, my voice, my gestures. I tried new hairstyles and experimented with different makeup techniques. Each success, each small victory, built my confidence. The princess my dad had created was no longer something I endured, it was something I embraced. Even flirting, tiny playful comments, and teasing from strangers online made me feel alive. I was learning how to navigate attention, how to respond with poise, and how to feel empowered in my femininity. But with confidence came vulnerability. My friends started noticing more than just my outfits. "You're different," one said cautiously. I stumbled over my words, my high, soft voice betraying my nervousness. Some friends were curious, some supportive, some uncertain. Every interaction was a test. Would they accept this version of me? Did I even accept it fully? Late at night, I would stare in the mirror, tracing my curves, running my hands through my hair, practicing my voice. I whispered affirmations. You can do this. You're strong. You're beautiful. You're confident. Slowly, my reflection began to feel less like a stranger and more like someone I wanted to be. The culmination of part 3 came unexpectedly at a small social gathering Dad had invited me to. His friends were all there, and they knew about the bet. Whispers filled the room. Laughter and curiosity followed my every movement. My heart pounded. I could run, hide, pretend it was a joke, but something inside me had shifted. I walked into the room with my head held high, shoulders straight, voice steady. I smiled. I greeted everyone with poise. And for the first time, I felt a surge of empowerment that made the previous fear seem distant. People noticed. Compliments, smiles, and genuine appreciation washed over me. The princess wasn't just a role anymore, she was me, fully present, fully confident, fully alive.